Please be seated. The court is now back in session. Again, the floor is given to the defense team for Kiev's and Pon to put further questions to the witness.
Thank you, Mr. President. Witness, I am getting back to the document that was provided to you just before the break, and you said that at the ERN that I indicated to you, that is to say 000133554, code 10 doesn't mean anything to you. So please look at the first page of this document. That is to say, at the ERN that ends in 53 in Khmer, it's not very legible, but at the upper right-hand side of this document, we see Pong written out. We see statement of 18 July 1978, and in Khmer, you wrote on the left-hand side. You have to look at the first page. Yes, I believe you are not looking at the right page. Witness, can you please look at this page? Can we maybe display it on the screen so that it may be easier for the witness to spot it? So it's document E3/1596 on the first page in all three languages. And in Khmer, witness, on the first page of this document, on the upper left-hand corner, we see the name of Chim Sang Ok, alias Pong, who is the security chief.
La photocopie est un peu sombre.
Maybe the photocopy is a bit dark. You should be looking at the first page.
Monsieur le témoin.
Witness, are you following me? The first page.
Deputy Co-Prosecutor, you have the floor.
Yes, if the first page is what I'm looking at, counsel may want to clarify this. I'm not sure this is a part of the original document. Usually there's a cover that's been added by either the tool slang or whoever was the repository that found this. But I think that should be clarified because I'm not sure that this was part of the original document.
Moi, personnellement.
Well, I haven't seen the original document. I can only note that the document is annexed and the ERNs follow each other. So I don't know if witness, when you read the first page, you see Pong on the first page. And does that ring a bell? Does that first page correspond to the first page of Pong's confessions? And especially, was Pong known as Brother 10?
Mr. President, I have many questions regarding this document. The code here is 010, and I was asked by the co-prosecutor at one point about code number 10 and number 30, which one was Von and which one was Pong. And the content of this document seems to indicate that code number 10 refers to Pong. And in the revolutionary rank of CPK, the word out was not spelled as it is on this page. Also, at S21 or at the party center, nobody would write the word Dambong with the word T. It's with D. and in English that at the beginning. So this is the discrepancies that I noticed. However, the content of the confession seems to originate from I-21, and the handwriting is mine. So I neither denied nor accept this confession, although the content seems to be consistent. I recall that Pong's confessions were rather confusing, and Uncle Noon gave me a letter about the fact that Pong called on the radio to the east to bring bread with meat stuff inside, and what it meant. And he would ask me to clarify the matter, but from my reading of Pong's confessions, it was confusing. And through my glimpse at this document, it seems that the content is consistent, since he was close to Comrade Jia.
Okay.
Fine. So, if you're not sure about this document, or if you're not sure that these are Pong's confessions, you said that as far as you remember, Pong was allegedly arrested after the 17 April 1978 celebration. Do you remember for how long he was detained at S21? I'd like to add that the date of 28 May 1978 appears, and apparently this document was forwarded in July 1978. So I don't know if these dates ring a bell, but do you remember if Pong was detained for 1 or 2 months after his arrest?
It is rather difficult for me to clarify this matter. If I am given a list that I worked with the OCP, it is difficult for me to see, because on the list there are columns of entry and exit dates. In the case of Pong, what I could say is that his confessions were not that beneficial. Regarding the date he was smashed, I can say that he was arrested in April, and by about June, Pum was arrested, and it is likely that I instructed my staff to execute him before that date of the arrest of Pum in June. But I can recall clearly the date that he was smashed. However, regarding the date of his arrest, that was a few days after the ceremony, as I indicated earlier.
You made the distinction at S21 between ordinary and important prisoners. Was Pong considered an important prisoner?
Comrade Pong was an important prisoner, as he was close to the leadership, that is close to Brother Paul.
Who interrogated him, if you remember?
I assigned Pong to interrogate him.
Savez-vous
Do you know if he was interrogated several times by Pon?
When I assigned Pon to interrogate any particular prisoner, he would try his best to interrogate that person. And I believe that the torture committed upon Pong was in the fashion of hot method. Brother Noon gave me a list of questions that I had to clarify through the interrogator. That is regarding the bread stuffed with meat that were sent through each zone and what it meant by that. The interest came out of him was that he joins the youth league, and when he left school he dropped his bag, and in the bags there were magazines of the progressive youth. He made a report of the loss to the party, and he was reassigned by the party. That's what I can recall about his confessions. So allow me to repeat it. Pon interrogated Pong, and he used a hot method, and the interrogation lasted quite some times.
I'd like to remind you, witness, please, that we shouldn't speak about the content of the confession. So please just focus on the answers to my question. My question was, he interrogated several times, and you said he was interrogated several times by Pon with the hot method. So during his detention, did you speak to Pong?
No.
So between the moment when he arrived at S21 and the moment when he was executed, you never spoke to him. So did you see him, however?
No, I did not.
And where was he detained? Aside from his interrogations, or was he in an interrogation room during his entire stay at S21?
I do not recall that.
I will get back to that later. For the moment now, I would like to discuss with you the January 1979 meeting during which you said you attended this meeting that was chaired by Khieu Samphan, and apparently it was held on the 6th of January, that is to say the day before the Vietnamese arrived. Did I understand you correctly?
Yes, that is correct.
Si je résume.
So if I summarize your previous statements, so you were called to the Buddhist school and you entered a room in which Khieu Samphan was present. There was only a small number of people who were present. That's what you said at the hearing. There were 6 or 7 people back then. And there was Khieu Samphan made a brief presentation on the fact that you had to stay calm despite the advance of the Vietnamese, and that it was necessary to continue working. So am I summarizing your testimony properly?
It was not that accurate. First, allow me to mention the number of people who were there before I arrived. There were 5 or 6 altogether, including myself, and there were not up to 7. Regarding the summary of speech made by Brother Haim was that June came deep inside, but Sand and another colleague actually counter their advancements so that we should not be in panic and that we should continue our working. So the statement that you read out is a little bit off at some points, namely including the number of people present before Brother Ham, as well as the content of a speech made by Brother Ham.
So what you are telling us is that there were 5 or 6 people aside from you at that meeting. Is that correct?
The interpreter cannot hear the first part of the witness's statement.
Could you please repeat the statement? The interpreter couldn't hear the first part.
When I entered, I sat on an empty chair, and people were present under Haim were 6 the most, including myself.
In your statement E3/456 at Khmer ERN 00198872, at French ERN 0198889, and English 0019880, you say, and while you're speaking about a figure that's a bit different, and with your leave, Mr. President, I would like to provide this statement to the witness, and may you also please display it on the screen.
Yes, you may proceed.
Si l'on peut afficher ce document à l'écran.
So can we please display this document on the screen? In this document you say that there were 3 or 4 people who attended that meeting. Does that match your recollections? Or do you stand by the fact that there were 6 people, rather?
I acknowledge that this statement was the one that I made before the co-investigating judges in case 001. And at that time, my memory was fresher, so allow me to stand by this statement. And what I said is the following. I'd like to mention again what I said on the 23rd of August 2007 regarding that meeting. នួនជាធររឿង to call me to meet him at the Buddhist school. Upon my arrival, I was surprised because I instead saw Kyo Sampon there. I hesitated to enter the room, but Lin pushed me in. Kyo Sampon did not address to me, but he spoke in general to 3 or 4 people who were present there. I did not know them all except Ryung, chief of the state's warehouse. In fact, after the screening in 1978, there were many newcomers. And then there were more. So allow me to repeat that I'd like to stand by this statement that I made before the co-investigating judges. And because that one was made in 2007, and now it's 2016, so it's like 6 years ago, and my memory was the time were fresher than now. And it is usually my habit that once I made an accurate statement, I don't think about it anymore.
So I imagine that you also confirm what appears on the same page in this document. That is to say that you said nothing during that meeting, that you just listened to Que Son Pont. So my first question is, can you assess how long this meeting lasted?
Brother Ham spoke only a few words. So starting from the time that I took the motorbike to see him and then I returned to my house, the total duration was about 15 to 20 minutes, and the distance from my house to the Buddhist school was not that far. And Brother Ham spoke about 5 minutes at the most.
Est-ce que
So during those 5 minutes, did Que Son Pont ask you to dig trenches, or to ask your men to dig trenches, to protect yourself against possible shelling?
Brother Ham did not speak about this matter, and what he said was that we had to be firm and continue working. He said that Ryun and Sand were countering the advancement of the June. That was his main message. He did not mention about digging trenches.
est-ce que pendant ces
So during those short minutes, did he speak about the necessity of leaving Phnom Penh for a while?
No, he did not.
je vous pose ces
I'm putting these questions to you, witness, because in case 2-1, 2 witnesses came to testify before this chamber, and they each spoke about a meeting which Que Son Pont allegedly chaired, and I'd like to read out their statement to make sure if this corresponds to what happened. The first witness was Sim Ao, S-I-M, then H-A-O is the last document, E1/206.1. This was the hearing of 12 June 2013. Oh, I'm sorry. I have the wrong document. He speaks about it essentially in the second document of the next day. So that's the 13th of June 2013, E1.207.2. And a little bit before 2:20 and 44 seconds, he speaks about a meeting which was attended by 100 participants, and a little bit afterwards, at 2:22 and 32 seconds, he says that Khieu Samphan said the following, and I quote, "Comrades, when you're going to go home, you must dig trenches because the American bombing is imminent, and if you're going to be bombed, you're going to have to fight back." Then there is a second witness. This was Rossoy, document E1/184.1. This is the hearing of 25 April 2013, a little bit after 11:48 in 2 seconds. And this is what he said. So the question that was put to him was, did Khieu Samphan speak to him about the situation of the Vietnamese offensive? And he answered, yes, that's true. Generally, if there was a meeting, it was to meet certain specific objectives. We had to leave the city on a temporary basis only in order to prepare our defense against the Vietnamese troops. And then the following question is put to him. So therefore, did I understand you well? He said that the plan was to leave Phnom Penh on a temporary basis in order to prepare an attack against the Vietnamese forces. Did I sum up properly what you said? And Rossoy answers, that is true. End of quote. And in order to be more specific here, this again at that same hearing of 25 April 2013, this time at around 11:35 and 15 seconds, Rossoy said that this meeting allegedly took place on the 5th of January. So, in view of these statements, do you stand by your statement that you attended a meeting with only 2 to 3 other people, and Khieu Samphan told you that you shouldn't, that it was not necessary to dig trenches nor to leave the city on a temporary basis, but on the contrary, to just keep on working as usual?
I still stand by my statement.
You also said that following this meeting, you went back to S21. Did you give any specific instructions to your subordinates following this meeting?
It seems that I did not. I only inserted interrogators about the 4 individuals from Y8 after I returned from the meeting with Brother Ham near Pechen. I saw Brother Wan, who was in a Land Cruiser, and he was staring at me, and his face was rather stern in terms of expression. And these individuals from Y8 were implicated in the shooting of the guest. And I gave instructions to interrogators only in terms of these people from Y8. As for the information from Brother Haim, I did not disseminate that information, and the most was that I only informed Ho about that.
Vous venez de parler du frère.
You have just referred to Brother Van. Are you indeed referring to Young Sari? Are you therefore saying that you bumped into Ieng Sari while he was in his vehicle. Is that correct?
Yes, Brother Van means Professor Ieng Sari. He was in a vehicle from the west to the east direction while I was riding my motorbike when I left the Buddhist school. And of course, as I said, his facial expression was rather stern. And when I refer to Brother Van, I refer to Professor Ieng Sari.
Dans une déclaration.
In a statement E3/1576, the ERN in Khmer is 00159-561. In English, 00160700, and in French, 00159582. In this statement, you refer to the period of the 3rd to the 7th of January, and you state, perhaps, with your leave, Mr. President, may I request that this statement be placed on the screen. And I would like the court officer to give the passage to the witness.
President, yes, you may proceed.
Donc voilà ce qu'on peut lire.
This is what we can read on this page. You state that on the 3rd of January 1979, I was very tired, both physically and mentally. I slept all day up until 7 January at 2 p.m. when I left S21 with a unit of around 200 persons. And of course, does this reflect what you can remember? And can you explain why you were very tired, both physically and mentally, as of the 3rd of January 1979?
Physically, I am referring to my health. At the time, I was so tired physically, I could not do the job. As for my mental issue at the time, I was always thinking of the arrest of Ngay Yu alias Hong, and then the arrest of Won and Hok happened. I was thinking the time that one day it would be my turn. This is the mental fatigue. Back then, my wife was a medic. She measured the blood pressure on my both hands, and the blood pressure was not good at the time. So I was hopeless, and I was very tired mentally and physically in my life.
Vous avez évoqué devant cette chambre.
You told this chamber that prisoners were executed in January 1979. My question is as follows. Are you sure that it was in January 1979 that the last executions at S21 took place? Wasn't it rather in late December 1978?
The instruction was made perhaps on the 3rd of January 1979. However, I am not quite sure about the date. the instruction was to kill all of our prisoners. I am confused with the dates. The instruction may have issued on the 1st January, and all our prisoners had to be killed by 3rd January 1979. However, I could not recall well, so I would like to tell the court that I would stand by my previous statement. The instruction was made by Noon, Uncle Noon.
Je vous dis ça, monsieur le témoin, parce
I say so, witness, because during the confrontation you had with several witnesses who worked at S21 in late December 1978 and early January 1979, and I'm referring you to document E3/5769, ERN in French 00166-574, ERN in Khmer 00166-591, and ERN in English 00166-564. The question put to you by the co-investigating judge was as follows. Did you witness massive executions in January 1979? And Sosti's answer, Rakan, him or some met Mamnai's answers was that they were all not aware of that. End of quote. And to be complete, Sosti was also examined on the 3rd of June before this chamber, and we have the draft transcript of the 3rd of June. Shortly after 10 hours 10 and 15 seconds, he was examined in regard to the list of outgoing prisoners who may have been executed, and he states as follows: to my knowledge, that was the last list of prisoners who had to be executed. That was on the 31st of December 1978. End of quote. Is this something that refreshes your memory? Are you sure that the last executions occurred in January 1979?
Let me repeat. That happened a long time ago. I made my statement already, but it appears that I do not recall the event. Through my recollection, all of them may have been killed by 3rd January because there were many prisoners. It was difficult to smash all of them in, just 3 days.
je voudrais également vous référer.
I would like to refer you as well to one of your prior statements, and it is document E3530, dated the 6th of March 1990, and the ERN in Khmer is 000-95691. ERN in English 00329135, and in French 00327-365. And with your leave, Mr. President, may I request that this statement be placed on the screen and that the hard copy of the statement be given to the witness.
President, you may proceed.
C'est donc vos déclarations.
This is therefore your statement before the military tribunal dated the 6th of March 1999. And you have been questioned in regard to Tamok Son Sen, Ieng Sari, and Kyo Sampan. And this is what you stated regarding Kyo Sampan and Ieng Sari. As regards Mr. Kyo Sampan and Ieng Sari, till date, we have never met, not even once. End of quote. Today, in light of your prior statement, you are saying that you saw Kyo Sampan during the famous meeting of 6th of January 1979. You also state that you saw Ieng Sari on the date of the same meeting and that you saw him staring at you as he was in a vehicle. This contradicts what you told the military tribunal. Are you sure that your memory is not muddled up? Are you sure that you saw Kyo Sampan at the meeting in January 1979 as well as Ieng Sari? Since in 1999 you said something else to the military tribunal.
I would like to make an observation on this document. I have never forgot the time when I met Brother Haim. I have never forgotten it at all. And I encountered Ieng Sari as well after I left from the meeting with Brother Haim. Tuong called me to work with a Bong. And after my arrival at a Buddhist school, I saw Haim, Brother Haim instead, who was there to instruct me. It was a surprise to me. And at 10 or 11 in the morning of 7 January 1979, the tanks, Vietnamese tanks, were moving in front of me. So I cannot forget all these things in my life.
Ce qui est étrange,
What is strange, witness, is the fact that a while ago when you were confronted with the difference in the figures at the meeting of the 6th of January 1979 with your statement of 2007, you said that you are referring to your statement in 2007 because the events happened a long time ago and your memories were fresher. And in 1999, when you were questioned, your memories should have been even fresher. And you stated that I did not see Kyo Sampan and Ieng Sari, not even once. How do you explain the fact that your memories were so fresh in 1999 when you were not questioned on those two persons?
Mr. President, I have an observation on this document. This document appears to be strange to me. I have never forgotten the two events in my life. I do not know in what capacity I was interviewed at the time, and perhaps the above sentences were not read and the meaning was not full. The meeting between me and Brother Haim was remembered, has been in my mind, in my life. I am not telling lies to this court. And a group of 6 people including me, were there at the meeting with Brother Haim, and you, counsel, made mention that there was a group of 7 instead of 6. So I decided to stand by my own statement about that matter. So you read only part of the document and you ignore the other parts, so that the meaning is not full to me. And as I said, I have never forgotten the 2 events in my life.
Vous dites aujourd'hui
Today, you're saying that you challenge the contents of that statement. Let me nevertheless point out that some of the persons referred to in that statement on the 6th of March 1999, your fingerprints and signature is on the document. You are questioned by the co-investigating judge himself, and this was cross-checked by a lawyer. Do you stand by your statement that what you said was distorted, and that you referred to that meeting with Kyo Sampan and Ieng Sari, and that was not recorded in that first statement in 1999?
Mr. President, I would like to point out that this document belongs to the military court. I have shown 2 documents from military court. The first document was about the meeting between I and other individual 3 or 4, including Pong. Judge Lavan then put a question to me in relation to the issue, and I made my response already. And usually the events were described with respective conjunctions and timeline, but the document did not mention it clearly. Judge Katrai at the time asked me to tell the court, and I started to tell the court about the question that was put to me, and the document was shown to me later on. And a question was put to me by a Vacan and asked me whether the document was really signed by me, and I told him that I was there and I was interviewed, and a judge asked me why I did not ask for the correction in relation to the matter, and I told the judge that I did not ask for correction because that part of statement was not incriminating me. Now, again, this document was shown to me. I am not talking about authenticity of the document. So the document, the same document, was shown to me twice in relation to Brother Haim. I have never forgotten the time that the meeting that I had with Brother Haim.
Et pour être complète,
To be complete as regards this document, you yourself state that you did not make any amendments to the document because the part did not incriminate you. Do I understand that you are changing your statement depending on whether you think it would incriminate you or not? I do not quite understand your explanations. Could you please be more specific?
Now, let we find the truth together. The document which was once shown to me in relation to Pong, who spoke to me on 4 occasions. And then the authenticity of the document was brought before the chamber, and one of the lawyer denied to have the discussion of authenticity. And Judge Katrai back then said that the defense methods of Francois Roux were used. Then I decided to speak and tell about the action, the real action happening at the time. And later on, Judge Lavan put me a question, and I explained him about the grammatical system in Khmer language in relation to the verb, adverb, and adjective used in the same sentence. And Becken then put a question to me, pointed the signature and thumbprint to me, and said that the thumbprints or signature belong to me. And I told Becken that yes, I have seen the thumbprints and signature. And Becken made a follow-up, put a follow-up question and asked me why I did not challenge and make a request for a correction. And in my reply, I said since that part of the sentence did not incriminate me, so I did not challenge it. So this is my observation on this document. I am not now talking about authenticity. And number 2, again, I have never forgotten the meeting I had with Brother Haim. I have never forgotten it at all.
Et donc un dernier point.
A last point, not what happened in case 002 and in relation to his documents of 1999. I understand that you do not deny the fact that this record of interview was given to you, it was read out to you, and you appended your signature and thumbprint to it, and you do not contest that fact.
President, please hold on and observe the microphone. That is why I said this document is suspicious to me, the document from the military court.
Donc il est suspect parce que
It is suspicious to you because it doesn't include information you provided on the meeting, or the fact that you did not at all refer to that meeting when you were interviewed by the co-investigating judges in 1999. Why is it suspicious? Is it because if you do not challenge its authenticity, if you do not challenge the fact that it was read out to you and that you appended your fingerprints and signature to it, why would it be suspicious to you?
For clarity, please, counsel, give me the full documents or full written records of the interview that I was in present at the time altogether all of the interviews, or not just this one document, the interviews that I was present the whole day on that day.
Monsieur le témoin,
Witness, we are not at S21, where you can order people to do whatever you want them to do. This is an examination, and I'm asking questions to you on documents I chose with excerpts that I chose on which I would like you to make remarks. Another point that I would like to broach with you is the following. A while ago, you said something regarding instructions, and you said
President, the witness did not order you. He made the request to have all the written records. You may proceed now, co-prosecutor.
Yes, Mr. President. I also want to make clear for the record the witness has been raising this document, and you can see that he hasn't even been provided with the full interview that was conducted on this particular day. He's only been provided with one page, it appears.
absolument, je lui ai remis la page.
I've given the witness the page on which I'm questioning him. I have no problem giving the witness subsequently the rest of this statement, but that wouldn't resolve the issue that in this statement he doesn't refer to the meeting of the 6th of January 1979. I will give him the document subsequently. May I complete my examination, and I will like the chamber to grant me a few more minutes tomorrow so that I may conclude on the point I broached, that is the fact that instructions issued after the meeting of 1979. A few minutes ago, witness, you stated that you do not recall issuing any instructions following that meeting of the 6th of January 1979. In a record of interview E3/452 dated the 23rd of August 2007, ERN in French 00147928, ERN in Khmer 00146551, ERN in English 00147565. You state in that statement that you disseminated the information that was given to you by Kyo Sampan on that day. Does that refresh your memory? Or are you sure that you did not hand down any instructions after that meeting on the 6th of January 1979?
Je remets.
With your leave, Mr. President, I would like to give the extract I've just referred to on the dissemination of instructions in this document E3452 regarding meeting of the 6th of January 1979, and I will also give the document E3/5030, which I referred to on the 6th of March, and I'll give the witness these two documents, and we'll revisit the matter tomorrow morning, Mr. President.
President, you may proceed.
So I'm going to give you the time, witness, to look at this document E3/530 of 6 March 1999 after the hearing this evening. But can you answer the question if you broadcast or not information following the meeting with Que Sampan on 6 January 1979 to the S21 staff. Do your statements of 2007 refresh your memory, and did you broadcast or not any information following that meeting on 6 January 1979?
Thank you. I have already told about that. The interest at the time was about the 4 combatants from Y8. And number 2, I did not convene the meeting and asked my staffers to salute, and then after that the instruction was conveyed. And as I told the court already, I was advised that Rian and San was counting the advancement of the Vietnamese, and I had to be firm and not to be panicked. In fact, I heard the gunfire and also the sound of vehicles moving from 12 midnight. And I was aware of that, and others were also aware of that, but we pretended to act as normal. And again, at the time, the instructions from the party were about the 4 combatants of Y8 and also about the fact that we had to be firm and not to be panicked. President, thank you very much, Mr. Witness. It is now time for the adjournment. The Chamber will resume its hearing tomorrow on Thursday, 23rd of June 2016 at 9 a.m. The Chamber will continue hearing the testimony of Kang Kit Yew alias Duc. I am grateful to you, Mr. Kang Kit Yew alias Duc. The hearing of your testimony as a witness has not come to a conclusion yet. You are invited to come and testify again tomorrow. Security personnel are instructed to bring the 2 accused and the witness back to the ECC detention facility and have them returned into the courtroom before 9 a.m. and at 9 a.m. respectively. The court is now adjourned.